today's episode, we talked to a Grammy Award-winning musician who started a business, had some struggles, but the reason he was successful and the reason he still gets up today with a smile on his face is he made sure that he used his passion to find a mission, and that mission led to the reason that he has his business today and he's doing what he does. Check this guy out, Will McGinnis, on this episode of AMPM Podcast. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the AMPM Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Jordan, and today we have on a very special guest for episode number 200, a guy that I'm not sure if anybody really in the e-commerce space has ever heard from or talked to. He hasn't been around the circuit speaking on stage yet, none of that stuff, but he is probably one of the most, I don't know, Will, could we say famous? Like famous guys, like in a more worldly sense that we've had on here. Name is Will McGinnis, and Will, go ahead and say hello and give a little introduction of yourself. Kind of tell people who you are, and you might not even know why you're here. Do you know why you're here?
Well, I dig you, and I think you're a pretty incredible dude. So I'm here hanging with my buddy here, Tim. So. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call myself all that famous really at all. But, I was in a Christian rock and roll band for like 25 years. We lapped the world a few times. We won a couple Grammys and won a lot of Christian awards, sold a lot of records. And, so maybe people will know my name from that time, that journey of that part of my journey, in my life. And I was playing bass on stage for thousands of people and, doing that thing. So it was
I love
crazy
that.
music.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was famous. I only won a few Grammys. That's awesome.
Wow.
So you have basically hung up the guitar, so to speak, in a professional level, and you're not traveling, touring, not doing rock and roll anymore. Tell us where you're spending most of your time now, and then we'll kind of get into some of the meat of this content.
Well, yeah, a little bit of backstory. While the band was traveling, at one of our heights of our career, we really asked ourselves some tough questions, like, why do we do this? What are we using our platform for? What kind of real good are we doing in the world? And, we were encouraging people with our music and stuff like that and trying to put on a great show and bring some entertainment value, bring some uplifting, to people who might be down and out. But we thought we could do a lot more with our platform. And that's really when we got in the fight to kind of like change the world with what we've been given. And so our hearts really were into the country of Haiti. It's one of the world's most impoverished, countries, especially in our hemisphere here. And so, people live there, on $2.50 US a day on average or less. And that's feeding an entire family on that. And so at that point, we just said, hey, what could we do with our platform to do something great for Haiti? Our lead singer's parents had been kind of missionaries there. They had been going there a lot and helping these people. We heard these fantastic stories, and we're like, all right, we're getting in Haiti. We moved, we went down there in 2004 and started the Hands and Feet Project. Hands and Feet Project was named after a song of ours that was very popular. Our fans got behind it. They loved it. They loved that we were about more than just making music, making money, but that we were about using our platform for something great, like helping people.
So Hands and Feet was a nonprofit organization, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then when the band sort of wound down, I moved my family of 5 there. We lived there for a couple of years. We did the time in Haiti and really got to know the people, got to know the culture, got to know, kind of their plight and just daily activities. And then that kind of drove me to, man, what else could I do for these people? And working with Hands and Feet, we were having these incredible students that we were transitioning out of the program, but they didn't have any opportunity. They didn't have a job. There's so much unemployment there. And so I'm like, what could we create in Haiti? What are they good at? What's their skill set? What is in their DNA that we could take back to America and we could market and we could sell, give them a marketplace, if you will, give them a platform. And so that's when we came up with leather goods. They're really great with their hands. They're really great sewers. They're really hardworking, really creative, really entrepreneurial. there's a business on any street corner in Haiti. They're just shucking and jiving and selling you anything that they can to stay alive and to survive. And, they can duct tape anything together and fix it. So they're just super cool people and a great people group.
Let me back up. I feel like you just covered a lot of stuff. I know that you and I have talked about this before, maybe a year or two ago, but I have a lot of respect, for underdeveloped countries, and that I've done some stuff in Central America, and I've spent a lot of time in Haiti. I think the first time I actually left the country, the first time I ever got a passport is I went down to Haiti, and I was doing medical clinics there in Port-au-Prince, and have a lot of love for that. And I have really dove deeply into this concept of, like, how do we give back? Is it we set up nonprofits and we give stuff away, or is it do we ethically support support ethical capitalism, right? And I believe that there's a time and place for all of that. And one thing that I have learned is that when you give something away, it's like, goes back to the old proverb, you can give a man a fish or teach a man how to fish and he'll feed himself forever. That's one thing that I know you and I had discussed in more detail maybe a year or two back was the orphanage. Like, it seemed almost like a little bit of a temporary situation or a temporary solution, because you're collecting all this money, you're getting supplies, you're setting up this great thing, and you're taking care of people for a specific period of time. But when they age out of the orphanage, then what? Like, they're back on the street. They're back to living on $2 a day, And I remember you in fact kind of helped, you don't know this, but kind of shaped the way that I thought about how we can use entrepreneurship and capitalism to create change and create long-term, positive effects. So it sounds to me like that was kind of part of your journey, was you were basically kicking these folks out of the orphanage and going, crap, now what? And you couldn't just keep giving handout, but they have something to give, something valuable, a service, a skill, their ability to be craftsmen that could support them, right? So super, super powerful stuff, as long as it's done, of course, in an ethical way. It's not done in a way that's just exploiting need, because there are people in countries like Haiti that would work for next to nothing just out of pure desperation. And I am a huge, opponent of that type of really greed is what it is. So tell me a little bit about the journey more in depth of how you came to this realization that, like, the way to affect change is basically through employment, like employing them. And then also how you started thinking about, how do we actually bring in money? We can't just pay them for nothing, but how do we actually take this skill set and apply it to the masses, here in the States?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think it began when I lived there with my family. I saw that this incredible facility that we had built, we call them children's villages. We don't really like the term orphanage, but basically, for, just simple terms, we created these children's villages. We were having true abandoned and true orphan children come under our care through Haiti Social Services. And we saw parents show up on our doorstep every day, and they wanted to give us their kids. They saw this shiny building, this great, facility, this care we were giving these orphan and abandoned students as a way or a ticket for their children that they couldn't care for anymore, to have a way to prosperity. And so we said, this is absurd. This is not why we came to Haiti to help. We came here to help, and be the last resort. And so that's when we really got in the fight through job creation to support and walk alongside families to keep them together, because Haiti has larger families, and kid 5, 6, 7, and 8, it's just really tough for them to care for those kids, and they end up underfed. They end up not in school. They end up being more like servants to the family, or giving to other members of their extended family to serve them, and it's just a really bad situation. So they also end up giving them to organizations like Hands and Feet. And so we were like, we got to do something about this. We turned almost every part of our operations at Hands and Feet into a job creation piece. So we created, management. We created top, CEO, CFO, and all the people under them to run the organization. We started weeding us Westerners out of the picture And we started, we needed cook staff, we needed wait staff, we needed the caregivers for the students. And so we just started looking at that as a way to come alongside these families and give them a job and support them. And like you said, it's not a handout, because a handout just leaves them undignified, leaves them in a worse place than they were, leaves them always needy. But if you give them a job and they can go to work every day, they can make a fair living wage, they can go home and feed their family. There's so much more dignity in that. That's a dignified job, and they can feel good about that and do that all day long. And they're wired for that. They're wired for doing stuff all day long. It's pretty cool. So,
all right. So you figured out this mission, you figured out what you want to do, and you decided that you're going to start this company, Haiti Made. All right. Now, Haiti Made is a really cool company. You guys make some incredibly cool, especially leather products. Leather's kind of your focus. Right now, currently, how many employees do you have full-time that are working for Haiti Made there in Haiti?
It kind of ebb and flows based on our quarter and our season. But, at Christmas, we might get up as high as like 85, 95. And then we kind of settle back down probably in the 45 to 55 range throughout the year.
Yeah.
And so it's all different kind of walks of life. We've got students that have come from Hands and Feet Project that have transitioned out. It's kind of their first job. It fuels their dreams, gives them a chance to get their foot on their path of their life. If they're, going to chase other things, it's a stepping stone. We've got these mothers I was telling you about. It supports families. It locks arms with moms who want to keep their families alive and provide for them. It locks arms with the other Haitian men and women who are in university and they're furthering their education. So they're working hard at Haiti Made during the week, going to university on the weekend. I mean, just super hardworking and dedicated and driven people that this job supports. And then we just have local folks from Grand Guave, the little rural community in Haiti we're in. And they're showing up too, and they're working hard. And, we have sewers, we have people who cut the leather, who stamp it, who finish it, who deal with the sides. And we create these incredible products, from totes and wallets and journals, keychains, all different kinds of things. And they make them, put a lot of heart and soul and prudence into them. The leather is old world, great leather. And then we bring it back here and sell it on HaitiMade.com. We're in boutiques. And we even can stamp a company logo, into this thing and do that kind of thing for a great story gift for a company, So it's been fun to create that stuff and to see where they really shine and have them thrive in kind of their gifting.
So one thing I know about business is it's always easy to talk about the cool stuff. And, for everything that we talk about that's cool, there is a mountain of turmoil and a heartache and, headaches and blood, sweat, and tears in there. So you were basically a rock and roll musician. You went down and you were, using your audience, using your community, your platform to raise money to fund Hands and Feet and these children villages, and that's what you're doing. You had this realization that, hey, we need to ethically empower this group of people, to start supporting themselves through a business, and you launched Haiti Made. Now you're telling that story, and all I can think of is, holy cow! You went from very little business experience to, I'm going to start a business that is, I've got a board of directors in the U.S. My family's living in the U.S. I'm the CEO. We've got 40 to 80 employees in this super underdeveloped country that has nightmares and problems that nobody on this podcast, unless they live in those areas, would ever understand it. That's a big step. So you decided to become a CEO and start this business. What were some of the most shocking issues that you had when you started this business, just related to starting the business and making sure that it was self-supporting?
Oh gosh, I mean that's ongoing with any business. I think rock and roll prepared me well, actually, because we strapped it on our back. We were hardworking. We got out there. We did everything on our own. We marketed ourselves. We worked so hard and just built that thing from the ground up. So I think when you come from a great work ethic, and you have a DNA in you that is just hardworking and goes after stuff. We're Midwest boys, man. So we just do it, we make it happen. And so when I came into this, if you would have did a risk assessment of Haiti, you'd have never started a business there. That's just insane, absurd. But hey, when you have the heart of helping a family and a people group, and have the heart to seeing them survive and thrive their situations and come out of them and give them a way to have a fair living wage and feed their family. And they're so community oriented too. They say one job in Haiti supports up to 10 other people. So they're just giving, Junior his clothes, and they're putting him in school. They're giving their cousin, buying him stuff and putting him in school. I mean, they're so benevolent just in the way that they live. And so it just captures your heart. Yeah, there's all kinds of obstacles. There's political obstacles. There's, just raw goods in, finished goods out, shipping stuff. I mean, there's just, there's all kinds of disasters that happen in Haiti from, hurricanes and earthquakes and just overall disruptions like that. But you know what? I mean, we're just really creative. We're clever. We're heroic at times. My team down there just steps up and they deliver every time. They go to work every day, even when, a lot of people aren't going to work. They just love what they do, and it shows. They pour it into the products, and they just show up every day, and they give it a lot of heart and soul. Like, they love making that money and going home and feeding their family. I mean, it like you said, it's capitalism at its best. It's not a greed thing. It's just they know what it does for their life and what it does for their family, So, but yeah, there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of issues. But we just take every punch and we roll with it. That's what you do in any business. COVID right now is throwing all of us a bunch of punches. And for those who are nimble and can pivot and can be creative, can just see it as another time to rise to the occasion, man. It's just a target rich environment out there, man. Just so we're making little shifts. We're trying new things. Everyone that's winning out there right now is doing the same thing. Some people were in the lucky seat and they hit gold. Some people are really struggling and they got to shift their model and change. These disruptions come in various forms. COVID's certainly doing that, but we make it happen. And for these people's sake, we have an even more driven, and kind of passion to see them be able to make these products and sell them here in the U.S. So it's cool to do that and keep it going.
So you started this business, and I know you went through a lot of headaches of, hiring the people, getting your facilities, getting equipment, all that stuff. But once you started making products, you still had to sell it. And the majority of this audience that listens to this podcast, we're e-commerce sellers, not specifically, one platform, but we have to sell stuff. And I see a lot of people that come up with a great invention, a great product. They might even have a great story behind the product, but they just have an incredibly tough time selling it. So when you first got started, how did you start selling these products? What was your main channel, your platform, your outlet for these awesome products? And what were some of the struggles that you had trying to get this incredible product out when no one knew to look for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's every new business is conundrum. I brought sort of an audience with me through my band days, which we definitely, in Hands and Feet has an audience. So we certainly were tapping into people who love the mission and vision, who are already supporters, and they really supported the company early on just amazingly, and they still do. They're still the heartbeat and the core kind of people behind this work. But you got to reach out. You got to find new eyes, new ears to hear what you're doing and see what you're doing. And so, I mean, man, I think I spoke to you about Amazon back in the day. We tried some Amazon play. We're on Shopify, so we're HaitiMade.com space. We're doing a lot of MailChimp stuff. We're doing a lot of Klaviyo. We're sending out a lot of emails, blasts, and stuff like that. We're going to a lot of shows. We went to some, at the America's Mart there in Atlanta. We were showing up at those kind of shows. We're just doing street fairs, farmers markets. I mean, you name it. This is what you do. You scrap, you get in there, you work hard, you try the different things, try the different lanes, and you see what you get a hit on. Right now, we're like looking at things like Comment Sold or Boutique Hub or Genepi or Fair, these online, boutique connects and marketplaces, social selling, just to grow kind of reach to people on funnels into our website and stuff. So it's all of that and more. And again, the grassroots isn't so important. It's just getting some ambassadors out there that can really love your products and really champion them for you to their people group, to their sphere of influences. So we're trying to get into some of that too. But man, it's a battle every day, and I'm getting fed from people like Dave Ramsey and others and Darren Hardy and stuff. So, you got to feed yourself. Someone told me, work harder on yourself than you do anything else. Grow yourself, keep sharpening your tool set so that you can pour into others and grow them. And then you just kind of build a team around you that fills in your weaknesses, and you kind of go from there and see what hits and what doesn't. So it's a lot of that, Tim. You've been there.
Yeah. So you and I haven't got to catch up in a while, but the last time we talked, you had these killer products that you were selling, and the Amazon thing didn't go great because even though they're incredible products, the keywords are very saturated. It's still a wallet or a planner or a hat or whatever these things were. So it was just tough. Yep. And I know that at the time you were also talking about doing private label production for other brands. So you have this incredible resource of tools, labor, skill, knowledge. You've got great supply chains, and there are other brands out there that need all of those things. When I first started sourcing, everybody was going to China to find stuff, and because I knew the guys and I had the factory connection, I knew how to ship it. It was easy to start really a sourcing company. So how is that business progressing? Are you seeing an increased demand for other brands of leather goods that can utilize your capabilities to get their stuff made? Are you still doing a lot of that?
Yeah, we're doing some of that. I mean, it's just like we're kind of operating in 4 lanes. We've got HaitiMade.com, we've got the boutique kind of wholesale market. We're kind of working with company and stamping, their great logo on some of our great leather goods to give them an awesome gift for a campaign or client or whatever. And then, that other lane was this kind of private label manufacturing kind of lane. And we work for Half United right now. We're making their bags. We have an incredible team of leather makers. So if you have an idea in leather, we can probably make it, and we can probably do it cheaper than you can do it in some places here in the US. You know what I mean? So that's an incentive for you to do that. We're also making a case for All Clear. They're an in-ear, and we'd love to do that more.
Wait, what did you say? An in-ear monitoring device?
Yeah, it's kind of out of the band world. We used to put these monitors in our ears and be able to monitor the music easier.
It's not very common for me to hear something go, what the heck is he talking about? But that was it. So, I don't want to use this podcast as a shameless plug and promotion site, but I'm going to do it right now. If any of you have a product that you need made out of leather, whether you're selling on Amazon, Shopify, boutiques, whatever, if you're looking for a manufacturer and you want something extremely high quality, Will's not going to be able to compete with a fake leather PU, really something cheap out of China. But if you want a quality product that is probably going to be cheaper than most places you'd find it elsewhere, look up Will. Find him on Facebook. Go to HaitiMade.com and fill out a form inquiry, something. But track Will down, because you heard what he said. They go anywhere from 40 to 80 employees. And if they could employ 120 or 150, they've got the capabilities to do that. So any of you that are looking for a leather manufacturer, especially locally, the shipping from Haiti to the U.S. is almost instant. Supply chain is good, and they need work down there. So that's my shameless plug that I don't think I've given on a single episode yet. You guys need to track down Will and check them out.
You're amazing, Tim. Thank you so much. Yeah.
And I will say this, I've got your products at my house. It's amazing quality stuff. And, I don't just love the story, and I don't just love the mission. I actually like the product. It's really, really well done, really, really well made. So going back to all of the lessons that you've learned, in multiple ways, because you kind of get this crazy bird's eye view of entrepreneurism. You are the CEO of this company. You've got board of directors here. You've got to do marketing here. You've got to figure out what type of advocacy / influencers / marketplace stuff works here. But also you're empowering, entrepreneurship in a underdeveloped country. You've got the business side here. You've got to run the business there and the HR stuff. And you're mentoring and teaching all of these employees that are coming in. And a lot of times they're using you as a temporary means, to learn a skill. And then they're moving on and starting their own business, I'm sure. They're moving on to start their own thing, support their families in different ways. So when you got this crazy bird's eye view of entrepreneurship, selling a product, what are some of the tips that you would give if you could stand on a stage, which you are right now, and explain to people? I know that one of the things that you've said before to me is that you learned very early on that a successful business needs a mission. Would you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of business's mission or benevolent company. I mean, there's actually a B Corp out there in the world. If you think of a Patagonia or some of them, their a benevolent company. It's actually a way you can register your company. So it's having the real motive or the real heartbeat behind kind of why you do what you do is to have an end goal of helping a people group, or to, you're making all your products out of recycling goods like Newly. That's a great friend of mine, runs Newly.com, and he all of his stuff is made from recycled stuff, and they're making beautiful stuff, saving the earth. There's companies in Haiti that are taking the plastic that's everywhere and they're turning that into threads. The company's actually called Threads. And so they have a way of kind of just thinking about how they're doing their business, but in the end goal, it's doing some greater purpose, some greater thing. And I just think that that's a cool model, to marry making money and to helping someone, or to doing a good for the earth or for people or for something. It's just it can't be at the surface level. It's got to be in your DNA. It can't be, well, as a side thought, we, give 5 cents of every water we sell, back to something. I mean, it's just, I think it's got to be deeper than that. And that's what it was for the band. We put our own money in the game and went down and bought land in Haiti. And we started talking about that, and we did that from the ground up. And so that had ownership. It had buy-in. It had, and we built that model, and we did that, and then out of that, Haiti Made was born. And it just was out of real heart to provide a job. That's our mission: provide a dignified and sustainable job for the people of Haiti. And it really connects with people. I think especially millennials in this day and age, people want to do good with kind of their job, or, they want to save something, or they want to help someone. We're seeing that all over in COVID. I mean, the stories are endless. It's a beautiful thing how we're coming together to help folks. But, that's kind of my thing, is you just, you find your gifts, you find your skill set, you put your passions next to that, and then you go make money, and you give back, or you do a good with that.
So I know that in this journey, you've had your feet kicked out from underneath you several times. I don't even know specifics, but I know that happens because that's typical in business. Everybody that attempts to do anything, that runs a business, successfully has had failures. Anybody that has, an award on the wall also has some skeletons in their closet, things they wish they'd done differently, things that they're ashamed of, things that they're embarrassed about because they failed at something. And all of that is compounded when you're working in Haiti. The most difficult period of my life was spent in Haiti, and it was after the 2010 earthquakes, and I think back on those times frequently, when I think about how hard life is, and this is frustrating, and, my car didn't start because the battery was dead, and it's great perspective. And thereafter those, I'll just give like a brief, because a lot of people forget about this. A lot of people don't realize it. Thereafter the earthquakes, I was working with the fire department, and I was doing some urban search and rescue stuff. And long story short, I ended up getting to go down to Port-au-Prince like 3 days after the earthquake. Like, the airport was shut down. We actually flew in the Dominican Republic and bought pickup trucks and filled them full of rice and beans and drove from, was it Santo Domingo there, all the way to Port-au-Prince, which was insane. And I remember like crossing the border from the PR into Haiti, and it looked like, something you'd see on a National Geographic show at the border of like Somalia or something, like all these refugees, lined up, and we're going the opposite direction. And I ended up working at a field hospital there at the airport. All these militaries came in and set up camps and on the grounds at the airport there. And I was at this field hospital at the University of Miami, and I was working in an area where we were x-raying people that were coming in. Because Haiti is not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a stable land, like physically. Like, there's no vegetation on everything. Mudslides are awful, and everything is built basically without codes. People in Port-au-Prince are in these 3- and 4-story just shamble concrete buildings that any little bit of shaking and everything collapses. So there were, I don't know if we ever heard like an actual death toll from that earthquake, because there's no way to know, but it was tens of thousands probably, right? You probably have a better idea than I do.
It was over 300,000 actually. That's what they've calculated. Yeah, in about 40 seconds. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
And I'm working at this hospital, and I remember watching, like 2 weeks after the earthquake, people are finally walking into this hospital. They've been walking for 2 weeks in desperation. And like, I remember, like, I'll never forget, like, seeing a dad who's probably 35 and he's got like a 4 or 5 year old kid. And this 4 or 5 year old kid's leg is just shattered, like where this concrete's falling on him. And I'm just start crying thinking about it. And like that leg is just dangling, like there's no bone structure. And the kid has been in so much pain and trauma, being carried around by his father for 2 weeks, starving, looking for someone to help. The kid's not even crying anymore. The kid is just staring into space, like, and thousands and thousands of those situations happen. Like it was awful. Like I kid you not, the saddest time of my life.
Yeah.
And that, like, to me was a profound thing, because that was so different than what I grew up in and what I see day to day right now, like this just exceptionally horrible situation. And unfortunately, that, I won't say that earthquake, but that type of pain, suffering, trauma, hopelessness is like every day in Haiti. It's every day to some extent. Like literally children are starving and the parents can't do anything about it. I work closely with, is an orphanage in north of Port-au-Prince, and I've talked about this. My really good friend, Roberta Edwards, who worked there as a missionary for like 15 years, was gunned down in a gas station parking lot because she wouldn't give, food to these gang members. And like, I remember going to her house and working with those kids, and my wedding invitation was on a magnet, stuck to her refrigerator. Like that's how close we were. And one day it was just gone, just out of hate. And that kind of thing happens every single day. So going back to like every business person has these struggles, has these trials, has these times when life is hard, when business is hard, when times are hard. I know because of the nature of Haiti that you have experienced that probably more than most any business owner or aspiring entrepreneur that's listening to this podcast. I know that. You've never told me that. We've never talked about it. But I know that you see some incredibly tough things and you have to overcome that. So what I would ask you is, because you've obviously are learning to master that, what makes you get up out of bed every morning and keep doing this incredibly difficult thing you're doing? Not just running a business, but running this business that's operating in multiple countries. When you're watching this heartache and sorrow and you're seeing employees go through the stuff and you just can't help enough, like you're helping 80 employees sometimes, but you've got this village, that you're in the midst of, that children are starving because they can't eat. Like, how do you stay positive? How do you stay energetic? How do you not get so depressed and discouraged that you just quit?
Well, I mean, the fact that you went and you're a hero, you were so heroic. You went and served during that time. That was one of the most crazy times in Haiti ever. I mean, and you were on the front lines. You saw all the worst of the worst. And I know you got to have some strong feelings. I could hear it in you from that, and you will always carry those. But you were helping, and you did a great thing by doing that. I mean, we're as close to kind of living in Haiti as we could ever be in COVID right now. Here in America, we have it so good. We are so blessed. I mean, I think for me, when my kids were 5, 7, and 9, and the band was doing this work in Haiti, I was like, I've got to get them out of America and show them what the rest of the world lives like. And so we started going down there every summer, and that's what hooked us. My kids got to see how almost 90% of the rest of the world lives. They don't have running water. They don't have a working toilet. They have a one-room building that almost up to 12 people usually live in. And they go to market every couple of days. It's not to have a fridge and pack your fridge and have weeks of food. It's every couple of days you got to go get food. Every day you got to go get water. You clean your laundry out in the river and you lay it out on rocks. That's Haiti. And I don't know, there's just something about these people. I mean, Mother Teresa said, it's not about what you do for the poor. It's about what the poor do for you. I mean, they wrecked me. I went down there and they opened my eyes. I saw so much more clearly about materialism, about stuff, about money, about how meaningless it is and chasing after the wind. So I learned so much more from them than I could ever do from them than I could ever do for them. And so I think once you just kind of get out of your comfort zones and get out of your conveniences and kind of go see something like that, it just moves you, it changes you. And, I'm not taking anything special to them. It's all there already. I mean, they're already an incredible people group. They're already hardworking. They're already entrepreneurial. I'm just giving them a place to show that off, or to sell that, or to, to tell their story. I mean, and that's really what I am. I feel like I'm a storyteller. I feel like I'm someone who just had, I'm positive because of just the way I've been made. I'm a 7 on the Enneagram, if you will. I'm the adventurer. I'm the, enthusiast. I'm the encourager. I just want to see people live in their sweet spot, whatever that is. If it's, they don't have a marketplace, they need one. If they, are down and they need some building up, you build them up. If they you need to know what they're all about, why they're on the planet, you try to help them find that so they can get out there. Everyone's got something they're going to contribute in this life. And the ones who don't understand that just breaks my heart, because they have so much to bring to the table. And so, that's what we're doing. We're going to hang in the fight. We're going to keep it going. We've had some beautiful people that have helped Haiti Made, still help Haiti Made, and who are out there buying the stuff and telling the story. But it's all for these people in Haiti. And yeah, we run it like a business. We do X's and O's. We don't cheapen the product. We make it unbelievably awesome so it stands on its own, and then the story is just an extra bonus on the top. And we run our business right. We have to make smart decisions. We have to make the right marketing calls. We have to spend the money wisely, and we have to make money before we spend it. So we do all these things, and we try to operate right. So that's what we're doing.
So at first I thought you were not answering my question, then I realized you were inadvertently. The question was, when you're dealing with normal business struggles, plus the added drama and the added difficulty of working in Haiti, that is just such a difficult place to be. How do you get up in the morning, and how do you continue, and how do you stay energetic? And it sounds like, based on your answer, it's because you found that passion, because you believe so strongly in this, because that what you're doing makes a difference, and that what you're doing not just helps the artisans and not just helps the producers, but because you're passionate about the product too. You said you're not just operating this business based on the story, or because you have these influencers that want to support what you're doing. Like, the product stands on its own. So I couldn't agree more. When you decide that you want to get into business, you want to grow your business, you want to operate business, like, you have to understand that times are going to suck and things are going to be hard, and you are going to be disappointed and discouraged, and people are going to kick you in the face, and fate is going to happen. My business, Hickory Flats, got, pretty much all their revenue stripped out from anything with COVID. I've talked to other people, like, we couldn't see these things coming. Think about all the restaurants, the movie theaters, the travel agencies. Think about, all of this stuff that literally is just, you wake up and it's gone. Like, you can't do anything about it. But what I'm getting from you is the way that you handle that is by prepping yourself, when you start this business, by building it on a foundation of good quality, whether it's the people, the mission, the stories, and the products. And when you have a strong base like that, and you're doing this for the right reasons, and you're, crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's, and you're setting up a product and a system and a story that's worth doing, then it helps you get over that stuff. When you've got an incredible product that fits a demand, or when you've got an incredible product that serves a need, or you've got something that's innovative or something that is unique, it makes it easier to get over those struggles, because you're not just going to get washed down the drain like everybody else that's doing it halfway, right? Would you say that's a good statement? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's any business. Any business needs to operate that way, I think. I think you got to have a killer service or killer product, and it's got to have function. It's got to have some beauty to it. It's got to have some great need it fills, for someone in their life. And then this good it does is just, it's the great thing, the extra thing that is happening in the transaction. And COVID has wiped out a lot of people. But those who can kind of keep their head up and can just see it as an opportunity to rise the occasion in some other way, or ship. I've got a friend who is in a mastermind group with Dave Ramsey with me. They were doing one thing, and in COVID, the demand for yard signs came up, when people couldn't go to graduation, when they couldn't do X, Y, or Z like they normally do. Lawn art has become like massive, like creating these signs that say happy birthday or happy graduation, or, hang in there or whatever. I mean, they're selling like crazy, So they created this, we're going to start making lawn signs, and they're going crazy. So, you just got to be creative. It's just another time to be a problem solver. It's not a time to put your head in the sand and to get all depressed and to be like, whoa, what just happened to me? I think when you start to feel down about yourself, just take your eyes and look on someone else who might have it worth, and have the heart to serve someone, or have the heart to try to help someone. First of all, it gets your eyes off your own situation. And then you also see that other people probably have it worse than you do. You also see that you're very blessed. You have a lot of things that you could say are a positive in your life. And then from there, you build and you get creative, you dig in, you just put that thing on your back and you go to work, and you come out of it, and you win. That's just the American spirit right there, man. We take a punch and we get back up and we do it,
That's awesome. Well, we're running out of time. We need to wrap up, but I want to say it again. Those of you that are interested in how Will and his team have used the story of Haiti Made and used the story of the producers to market their products and to get an edge on their competition, go to HaitiMade.com, HAITIMADE.com. Check out what they're doing there. Also, track down Will if you have anything that you need to have produced and you think Haiti may be a good place to have that done. Track him down. You can find him on social. You can find him at HaitiMade.com and fill out some sort of contact form there, I'm sure. Track them down. I know they'd love to be doing more work, and they are completely capable of doing custom work. If you have a prototype, a design, or you want to talk to them about an idea, Will can definitely get you taken care of. So, Will, is there any other last words of wisdom, anything short that you can let us end on a bang with here at episode 200?
Oh man, I don't know. I think I might be tapped out here, and you're an incredible question asker. You put some tough ones on me there, but thank you so much for the opportunity and another place to get the story out there. And thank you for being a mouthpiece and doing what you do, and just everyone hang in there and keep going. Yeah, our hearts go out to you. We know you're struggling, but just keep going.
All right, thank you, Will, for being on. It's been incredible over the past couple of years to watch what you're doing, even though we don't communicate that often. I'm kind of lurking in the background and checking out, and I appreciate everything that you're doing for a country that I love, for people that I love, and being on here to educate other people about finding their passion, to help them with their business, give them some ideas. You've talked about all sorts of stuff. You've talked about marketing. You've talked about influencers. You've talked about pivoting. Mostly, I think the important thing you've talked about today is finding a mission, because if we have a responsibility as entrepreneurs to start a business, and that business will be more successful, we will be more successful when we do things for the right reasons. We have a mission. So thank you all for listening again. We'll catch you on the next episode of AMPM Podcast.